There goes that theory of the fucking Vegas Golden Knights partying in Montreal for 2 days. I guess it only works when the Oilers are in town. Some jackass on YouTube. I guarantee you, they're not partying, and there's a curfew for most teams. I guarantee you. Listen, buds. If you don't have a profile, a picture, any sign that you're real, then your guarantee is just words. No one's going to believe you. I guarantee it. I guarantee it that there's actual proof of the Oilers being out the night before they played the Habs, when the Habs walked all over them. Anyway. Oh, man. What a pathetic pucking game that was last night. Looking at the standings, the Montreal Canadiens are 29th. Well, it must be worse than that. Woo! 31st. Tied for last. Yeah, baby! You know what that means. Yeah, that's right, baby. Gonna get a good pick. And, like, we were just talking about this on Blue Sky. What's my handle on Blue Sky? My handle on Blue Sky? I don't fucking know. Oh, I found this squirrel. Found this shirt in my hockey bag. I figured it was a good representation of how the Montreal Canadiens are playing. Actually, are they playing like they're ripped? Or are they playing like they're fat and overweight like the rest of us? They look really slow last night compared to the Vegas Golden Knights. That first period was nasty. They came out of the first with a 0-0 tie. I don't remember what the shots were, but it was pretty bad. And Vegas had, I don't know how many good scoring chances. Like quality scoring chances. And I'm like, well, if they start, maybe they can pull another Oilers game and start capitalizing on turnovers. And then, or maybe the Knights could start picking corners, and they decide to pick corners. I say this all the time. Sammy is a great positional goaltender, but you're not going to get any windmill saves from this guy. The poor fella is hung out to dry, and he's not that goalie. He's not Carey Price with the big old windmill. Patrick Waugh, the old splits with the windmill. Whoosh! Oh, man, those were the days. And Aiden Hill, no offense, Aiden, if you ever hear any of this, your numbers are, god-awful. But I suppose if you score 5, it doesn't matter if you let in 3. Oh, my Lord. Remember last week when Arpin from The Athletic said, what's their identity? How can you have a pucking identity when the team isn't even built yet? I seriously can't stress this enough. They're losing 8 players in the next 2 years, maybe more. Let me have a look here. Well, have a look. They're losing 8 NHL players, which is great. Like, fans want to sign Jake Evans. Bye-bye, Jake. I'm sorry. No. Just say no. David Savard, no. Bye-bye. Bye, guys. Have fun with the rest of your careers on NHL playoff teams. Enjoy your time out there, because it's not worth the stress being an older player with a family, playing in Montreal, when things are about to get really ugly. Like, when you lose this many players, next year is going to be as bad as this year, unless they pick somebody up in the offseason, which they could. Christian Dvorak, bye-bye. Joel Armia, bye-bye. Jake Evans, bye-bye. Michael Pezzetta, bye-bye. Lucas Condotta. How do you say that? Bye-bye. That's how you say that. David Savard. Bye-bye. I'm sorry. Like, this is my second cup of coffee, and you got to remember, I've 21 years retired infantry, now in consulting and training, 10 concussions. I have a hard time taking hockey as serious as I did in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, because the stress of being pissed off all the time over this fucking Montreal Canadiens hockey team, the stress that you can create for yourself is deadly, especially for myself who has PTSD and depression, which I'm all good now, today anyway. Slurp, slurp, slurp. I'll have to try and cover that up somehow. Where was I? What we got? And then the year after that, Carey Price is off the books. No, that's 26-27. Yeah, so David Savard. So next year, 26-27, Mike Matheson, Carey Price are gone. Harvey Pinard, don't worry about it. Patrick Laine, bye-bye. And I'm sorry, and I know I say this a lot online especially. They were 289 goals against last season, which is what I based all my predictions on. Next to their play, the eye tests, I don't do analytics. Analytics is very deceiving. There's analytics for doing nothing on the ice, but this and that and the other thing. So I'm old school. I play hockey that way, coach that way, develop kids that way when I did. I don't need analytics. I can see what the puck is going on just by watching the games. And I find that analytics are for fans who want to be a part of the game and talk hockey. But really, are you talking hockey? Are you talking about skills and development? You're talking about fundamentals? There's 5 main... okay, let's not get into coaching. So what are we at here? We got Christian Dvorak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 players. 11 NHL players in the next 2 seasons, in the next 2 trade deadlines, gone. Bye-bye. And I'm saying bye-bye because we are a rebuilding team. And I understand that you got to keep some of these veterans. But you know what? Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Kirby Dach, Kirby is... They're all on La La Land right now. All of them, even Kirby. They're all in La La Land. But these guys are going to be your veterans in 3 years. They're all going to be between the ages of 25 and 30. And then maybe they sign a couple older guys for your core veteran guys. Gallagher, how much longer for Gallagher? He's 3 years away. Anderson, 3 years away. And once those 2 are gone in 3 years, which is 13 players, 11 plus 2 is 13. Yeah, 13 by. And once that is in 3 years, what 3 years is what year? 27, 28? Yeah. 27, 28. Oh my God, I'm going to be 56. How old am I now? 53. In 3 years, this team will be completely Hughes and Gorton's babies. And in 3 years, we're going to be looking at re-signing Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. That's hilarious. We got them at a bargain right now, but really, is almost $8 million each a bargain when they're doing nothing in the NHL? That's hard to take. But I don't care. It's a rebuild. Whatever. I care. You know what I care about? I care about the fans who are paying money to watch this crap. Oh my Lord, that must be Andrew Deeks. Is that your actual last name? Doesn't matter. No offense to that. But Andrew and his family went to that game last night. I think they flew in or drove in from Ottawa maybe. Or a train, whatever. And they had to sit there, pay for tickets, pay for hotels, pay for food, and sit there and watch that. Oh my God, I would lose my grapes. And personally, and I haven't been to Montreal for a game since 2013. That's a long story. I said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back until this team is competitive, until this team is a bona fide, competes every game, every playoffs. like all the high end teams. I said that's when I'll go back. I'll put money into flying to Montreal. I used to go twice a year just to watch Carey Price, mostly. That little man crush going on there. That's not creepy at all. Yeah, I incredible. I love watching hockey at the Bell Center when they're that team. But when they're this team, you had to listen to those boos for 15 minutes last night. Oh my Lord, that must have been. Oh, how do you not stand up and just walk out? Well, you paid $1,000. That's why, or 1,500 maybe. Oh my Lord. Anyway, that was the ultimate squirrel right there. That was the ultimate squirrel. So Arpin says, what's the identity? Well, I'll tell you what the identity is. You can see what they're building. You can see what Gorton and Hughes are doing. They got Struble, Jack Guy, Reinbacher. I'm not sure what type of defenseman he's going to be yet. And Caden Gooley. 4 huge defensemen who, except for the Reinbacher, they're all kind of mobile, but they're all heavy skaters. And what I mean by that is they are not the weak side of the play. You know how, say, for example, 3-on-2 is coming out of the neutral zone towards our weak side. It's not the big guys. It's not. They're not the weak side. The weak side would be Matheson, Lane Hudson. I don't really know if there's a weak side on Struble and Jack Guy because you got third and fourth lines going against them, and they do their job. So there's no weak side when it comes to that. And there's the other weak side when we talk hockey, how you're overpowering the weak side where there's more opening, there's more room. But we're not talking coaching here. Strong side, weak side, offside. Man. Yeah, so you can see what they're building. Their identity, big defense, small, skilled forwards. And on paper, yeah, 6 feet is not small, but they play small. Like Nick Suzuki is easy to play against. Easy, fans. It's okay. You're allowed to say that. You're not going to hurt his feelings. He's not going to watch this. But in my world, I'm my captain. I want Kirby Dach to be that guy. I want him to be, because I remember that one game he played last year where he was out there crushing skulls, and I think he produced a couple points in that first game. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I'm not going to go looking at it. He looked good. He looked like a leader. And this year they all look like, it looks like, and I asked this question to the Sick podcast, the eye test video question at that. I love that. I love that podcast. I really do. The interaction they do with the fans is outstanding. Every day at 3:00 CDT, 4:00 Eastern, 6:30 in Newfoundland, or 5:30 in Newfoundland. Squirrel. Pierre Maguire and Jimmy Murphy. So I asked that question last week. Has there ever been a time where management has told the fan base one thing and then privately told you the other? And it happens. It happens. I don't know if that's what Hughes was going for this year, or whoever said we want to be in the mix. Fuck the mix. We're rebuilding. Can you not see how bad this team is compared to all the bigger teams? I see it. We all see it. Of course we all see it. That's why we're all pining for the first overall pick, because, again, squirreling here. I was talking about this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock? What the fuck was that? 4 o'clock. 0400 this morning. Stop spitting. 0400 this morning. What did I read? Oh, someone wanted to trade Slavkovsky. And I was like, let's hammer down here. Simmer down now. But I explained to my opinion. I explained to them that he's what, 20 years old? Is he 20 years old? Why do we have to look this up? I should know this. It's one of those days. How old is Slav? He's 20 years old. Gonna be 21 in March. You don't give up on these kids at 20 years old. You just play through the pain. And this is what this is. There's pain. There's gonna be lots more of it. Oh man. Didn't he have like 11 points in 10 games at one point of the season? Back in October when the season was easier? Yeah. Yeah, so you don't give up on it. But I've said this many, many times about our drafts. You have these other rebuilding teams throughout their history. Let's go back to 2012. We ended up with Galchenyuk, which at the time was a very good pick. Could have ended up with Yakubov. Oh my, can you imagine? Imagine that. But we end up with Galchenyuk. We end up with Sergachev, who we traded away for Duran. We ended up, actually, that Sergachev pick at, was it 9? Or was it 11? That pick was really freaking good considering where they were picking. Let's go back to that. How long ago was that now? 2016. Yeah, 9th overall. Seriously, you could have picked Tyson Jost, Logan Brown, Michael McLeod, Jake Bean. Charlie McAvoy at 14 is pretty hard to take now, but that's now, not then. So that Sergachev pick, considering, that's pretty freaking good. But like I was just about to say, other teams are drafting Barkov, Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, Jesus McDavid, Eichel, and it goes on and on and on. We're missing out on the key moments when you should be drafting all this talent. And that's what I was talking about last year, the year before, about bringing in Sean Monahan. Why are we bringing in talent to draft fifth? To draft fifth overall? I want 1, 2, or 3. That's what I want. We lucked out. We fluked out with Demidov last year at number 5 because 2 other teams passed on him. Columbus must be just shaking their heads. Poor Caden. And I love that Caden Lidstrom kid. That he was, if he was healthy, that was my number 1. That was my pick for Montreal Canadiens as a Montreal Canadiens fan. I watched him live here in Brandon a couple times when he was 16. I was like, he was so impressive that I actually emailed the club and said, give the scout a raise. Give whoever picked out this kid when he was 15 years old, give him a raise. Again, they probably fluked out. You can't pick out a 15-year-old kid and expect he's going to be the greatest player in the world. Shane Wright. Oh my God, poor Shane. Speaking of Wright, Squirrel, I've watched, well, he's been sitting the last few games, but I think I've watched at least 6 of the Seattle games this year. And they have Shane on the third line, and he looks great. He looks great on the third line. They're not producing anything, but it's the third line. You're the best player on that line, but you can't do anything because you got nothing to work with. And same thing in Montreal. We see it when Slafkovsky goes down to the third line or second line. He's got nobody to play with. Not helping him out, mind you. He's playing with Nick for most of the season, and he's not doing anything either. There is that. It's hard to watch. But anyway, you got this regression of fans are like, oh, they're regressing. No, they're not. That's what the season is. Don't worry about it. It takes nothing to get a team going. The next 3 weeks, we're playing a bunch of bad teams. Yes, we are bad. We're tied with last overall in the league. And the next 3 weeks, like, oh my God, Thanksgiving is next weekend. U.S. Thanksgiving. Squirrel. And you gotta, the next 3 weeks, there's a bunch of wins coming. But really, do you want these wins now? Because you already know what type of team we are. We're a team that can't compete with the playoff teams. We're a team that, unless the other team doesn't show up, Oilers, Blue Jackets, Sabres. Remember those 3 wins we just had? Those teams did not play well, and they played their backups. Those are the wins we're going to be looking at all year.